Okay, the next part. Here the author is saying you have to find complex number omega is such that omega times by z square is real and z square omega is 12. Find two possible values of omega, giving your answer in a form of r e raised to the power iota alpha, where alpha is the argumental angle. Make a scenario in your mind. Here the author is saying omega is itself a complex number. Omega is complex number. But once you are times by z square, omega times z square, you are getting a real number. Right? Omega itself a complex number, but once times it by z square, you are able to get the real number. And you have to work for two possible values of omega, for which your answer in a form of r e raised to the power iota alpha. So if omega itself a complex number, but once times by z square, you are able to get a real number, it means that you have to work for two possible values of alpha, and alpha is what? Alpha is the argument, obviously. So you will write in a first way, just like, let me choose some different marker. Omega z square is basically a real number, is it? So if omega z square is a real number, it means that I have to apply the argument. If I'm going to apply the argument over omega z square, because of the product rule of logarithm functions, I will see argument of omega plus argument of z square, which is equals to a real number. Real number means 0, and you can also treat it as pi. So these two terms could be taken, maybe 0 or maybe pi. There is and sign between it. I have to take in pi because 0 have no concept in theta in arguments. So I will see my argument of omega plus argument of z square, which is equals to pi. I don't know the theta for omega, so I just write it as, for example, for this time being, I am write it as theta, and for argument of z square, I am writing as alpha, which is equals to pi, obviously. I figure out the value of alpha for z square in the a part, and it was pi by 3. Is it? Let me show you. That was the pi by 3. Where it is? Yeah, this one. That was pi by 3. So that value will be used over here for z square, obviously. For z square, I just put it the value of alpha as pi by 3, and theta remain as it is because I don't know the value of omega for this time being, which is equals to pi. So I will solve it for theta, and theta could be written as theta is equals to pi minus 2 pi by, or you can say just only pi by 3. Pi by 3, that will become theta is equals to 2 pi by 3. That is the theta that you got for omega. Now theta is 2 pi by 3. I will use the second scenario now, that is r e raised to the power iota alpha. That would be figure out the other value of omega from z square by omega magnitude, which is equals to 12. So z square magnitude was how much? The value of r, it was 4, dividing by omega, which is equals to 12. Once you times it by, you are able to get the value of omega for it. And omega is what? Omega is treated as r because I am taking the modulus value. So omega will replace the value as r. Because z square के लिए भी मैंने r की वैल्यू यूज़ की है जो मैंने फर्स्ट पार्ट में फाइंड की थी, और ओमेगा के लिए भी अब मैं एज अ कैपिटल r यूज़ करूँगी और स्मॉल r यूज़ करूँगी. दैट आई हैव टू वर्क सो फॉर. So it would be capital R. So R could be written as, definitely it would be 1 by 3, right? So R is your 1 by 3, and your omega becomes, your omega will retain r e raised to the power iota alpha. This is, and omega is equals to r is 1 by 3 e raised to the power iota. The value of alpha is actually what? It's basically 2 pi by 3. Yes, 2 pi by 3 with a negative sign. And also the first value of omega was, it was 4 e raised to the power minus iota pi by 3. That was the first value in terms of omega is equals to r, for radius is equals to r, and for the second value it's 1 by 3 e raised to the power minus iota 2 pi by 3. That's all about it.